Shoprite has rung up sales in its first half. During the period, South Africa's biggest supermarket group reported a near 14% jump in sales. That's thanks to a record Black Friday and festive season, as both cash-strapped consumers and upmarket consumers went after food deals. But the retailer did face challenges during the 6 months. Load shedding resulted in the need to spend 500 million rand on diesel to operate generators across its South African supermarket business. And the group's finance charges rose as a result of high interest rates. The impact of this on profit will be shown when the company opens its books on the 5th of March. KPMG and liquidators of the defunct VBS Mutual Bank have reached a confidential out-of-court settlement in their long-running dispute. That's according to Business Day. The liquidators initially wanted nearly 900 million rand from KPMG over shoddy work done in auditing the books of the bank. The secrecy of the deal raises questions about whether the liquidators managed to get anywhere close to that figure. Private sector credit grew 4.9% year-on-year in December. This is higher than expectations for a 4.1% rise. That's also quicker than the 3.8% increase recorded the previous month. The latest print marks the 30th consecutive month of growth in private credit. Meanwhile, expansion in the broadly defined M3 measure of money supply accelerated to 7.6% in December. This was also well above market expectations for a 5.5% rise. South Africa's state of corruption appears to have worsened. That's according to an international index that tracks perceptions of corruption in the public sector. South Africa slipped to a score of 41 from 43 previously and has stumbled into the category of flawed democracies, which is just one level above non-functioning regimes. The country's been dogged by systemic corruption and looting of state-owned enterprises. State capture cost the economy an estimated 500 billion rand. In international news, shares in Renault soared in early trade on Tuesday, but soon fell back a day after the French carmaker ditched plans to list its electric vehicle business, Ampere, because of the sluggish stock market conditions. Here's more detail in this package report.
Renault shares had a wild ride in early trades on Tuesday. Investors initially moved in after the French firm cancelled plans to list its electric vehicle business, Ampere. The carmaker blamed sluggish stock market conditions for ditching the idea. The reversal comes just months after CEO Luca De Meo said the IPO could be worth close to $11 billion. Reuters reported in November that weaker EV demand, more competition from China, and market volatility had complicated Renault's plans to list Ampere. The IPO's aim was to gain more value from the business by giving Ampere further visibility and separating it from the combustion engine business. Now Renault says it has enough cash to do without the stock market listing. It also said it would continue to fund the development of Ampere until it reaches break-even in 2025. The automaker had warned late last year that it would not go ahead with the IPO if the valuation was too low. In December, Renault's long-standing alliance partners Nissan and Mitsubishi confirmed plans to invest in Ampere. Renault said Monday both partners were interested in investing even if it didn't move forward with an IPO. Chipmaker Qualcomm was also expected to invest in Ampere, but that depended on the IPO taking place.
And less than a month into the job, France's new Prime Minister Gabriel Attal is dealing with a huge strike, with French farmers blocking major roads in the country following government's new agriculture measures. Let's check in with our reporter Ndauling Lechela for more.
That's right, Zinati. French farmers are protesting all across the country, with thousands of tractors blocking many of the streets leading to Paris. Joining me with on-the-ground insight is DW correspondent Lars Halter. Thanks for your time today. Now, Lars, let's get straight into it. What's the situation like in France?
Thanks for having me. Well, it's quite a spectacle, and that's not even surprising. We've had our own farmers' protests in Germany, and especially right here in Berlin just 2 weeks ago, with thousands of tractors blocking the streets. But that's pretty tame compared to what's going on over in France. I just saw a video of farmers in the southern French town of Narbonne. They had stopped a truck loaded with red peppers and other fruit. The farmers had torched the truck, and while it was burning out, they toppled it using their tractors, literally pushing the truck over with the load of fruit and vegetables spilling all across the highway. It sent a very clear message because that entire load had been grown in Spain and imported to be sold in France at comparably low prices. French farmers have had a hard time with cheap imports for a long time, and they're fed up. And now those who are not setting stuff on fire, they are driving towards Paris. Many have already arrived there, and they call it a siege. And the police, of course, has reacted accordingly, bringing in military tanks and thousands of people to keep at least the most important streets open.
And what do the farmers want? Do they have any specific demands?
Yeah, so one thing, as I've mentioned, is that farmers want help with those cheap imports from Spain and Portugal or other countries too. They say the imports are ruining prices, and at the low food prices the French customers are currently used to, French farmers simply can't make a living anymore, they say, especially because while prices have been dropping, production has become more expensive. There's higher energy costs, there are wages to be paid. Many farmers spend even more money as they are producing organic. So now they want help from the government. They want some protection from those cheap imports. They want sustainable prices. They want the government to help them out in case of bad weather events, many of which are related to climate change. They are happening more often, destroying a year's worth of crop. They also want the government to reconsider their most recent policy of ending subsidies on agricultural diesel. That, coincidentally, was the straw that broke the camel's back for French farmers, just as it had been for German farmers earlier this month. It was exactly the same issue.
And Lars, what is your take on these protests? Are they actually going to be successful?
Yeah, I think so. The government has indeed taken a step back on that subsidies issue already, just like the German government did before them. They also said they would put on an emergency fund of 100 million euros for farmers in need after extreme weather events. They will consider aid packages for organic farmers and for vineyards. And I'm pretty sure there will be much more to come, because the farmers have given the government a list of 140 demands. And as I mentioned earlier, with that truck being torched and toppled, the French know how to protest, and the government is well aware of that. Looks to me like we'll be hearing more about support measures for the farmers over the next couple of days.
Lars, let's leave it there. Always appreciate your insights. That was Lars Halter from Deutsche Welle.